Hey guys, what's going on? Faramar here, and today I'm going to be going over the upcoming changes for Feral Druids in patch 9.2. As you guys are aware of, there's some really big changes that are coming to all classes. This video will be focused solely on Feral Druid, as that's what I do. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. I'll give you guys my thoughts and opinions, and I will just dissect everything I'm thinking about going into the new patch. So one of the major changes coming to all classes in patch 9.2 are the new tier sets. The Feral Druid's tier set, however, is revolving primarily around Berserk. So it's going to increase the accessibility via the 2 set, which will reduce the cooldown of Berserk per combo point that you spend. And the 4 set will actually increase the potency of Berserk when you use it, because it will add a bleed effect to all targets within 8 yards of you. Now, over the PTR, there has been a few changes to these to this tier set, the 4 set primarily, where they actually ended up soft capping the 4 set. So any targets that the bleed is on beyond the initial 8 will actually deal reduced damage. So, and then they also nerfed to the overall damage of the bleed by 65%, which is a really hefty nerf. I guess the devs ran into some sort of bug that they couldn't fix with the way that it interacts with Mastery and Tiger's Fury and all of our different snapshots, essentially. So I guess they couldn't figure that out, so they ended up just nerfing it by 65%. I hope they figure it out. I hope they, get an idea of how much damage this should be doing, because now in single target situations, it is kind of lackluster. It's not going to be a huge percentage of your damage as we were anticipating when the set was first announced. And then in AoE, we'll be doing drastically less damage, which it was already with the 4 set before the nerf. It wasn't even coming close to, classes like Survival Hunters or Frost Mages. So I don't really know what the goal was there. I think that they just don't want ferals doing too much AoE damage for some reason. Not sure. Guess we'll see. They did say that they would consider buffing the 4 set again if it does seem to be lackluster. I can't see a world where it's not lackluster, but at least it'll make Berserk an even more fun ability to pop. So, it'll be fun. I'm not too worried about it. I think that the devs will, reconsider their nerfs when they have a larger sample size per se. So let's go ahead and talk about the next upcoming changes, which will be the double legendary combinations in patch 9.2. So you'll be able to have 2 legendaries. The way that you'll unlock one of the legendaries, which will be your belt slot, is by grinding up the new rep. The new rep, I think, has a minimum requirement of doing the dailies in order to do it, and that will essentially last 28 days, or the first 4 weeks of the patch, in which case on the 5th week of the patch you will be able to purchase your second legendary. So it's kind of a grind, but I mean, it's World of Warcraft. We're all pretty keen to grinds. It's just how it is at this point, right? So it's really fun once you unlock it. I think they said it would be an alt-friendly grind. Don't really know, but anyways, let's go ahead and talk about some of the upcoming legendary combinations that I'm actually really excited for. So in rating and in plus, it's seeming like Feral's going to rely mostly on the Night Fae Covenant again, which means you will have your Celestial Spirits legendary, because with the legendary combos, you'll actually have to combine 1 Covenant specific legendary with 1 class specific legendary. So what that means is, if you're Night Fae, you'll have the Night Fae legendary, which is Celestial Spirits. If you were Kyrian, you'd have the Kyrian legendary, and then you can have 1 additional legendary on top of that that is specific to the Druid class. So some of the most potent combinations I'm anticipating to come out are 1, Celestial Spirits with Frenzy Band. Frenzy Band is also a Berserk, is also a legendary that revolves completely around Berserk. Just like our 2 set, it'll lower the cooldown of Berserk, and just like our 4 set, it'll offer a new bleed for when you have Berserk active. Now, it doesn't work exactly the same way as the 4 set, but the Frenzy Band with the 4 set and 2 set combination will actually cause Berserk to be more of a 2-minute cooldown rather than a 3-minute cooldown. So it'll greatly increase the accessibility to Berserk. And it will also do something that Feral's always kind of lagged at, as offer us more burst windows. Whereas normally we're a 3-minute class, and so we revolve around the 3-minute windows. Now we'll be able to, if you have your rotation proper, you'll be able to get Berserk down to about a 2-minute window, and thus every 2 convokes with the 1-minute convoke legendary, you'll have a Berserk for it. So you'll be doing vast amounts of damage with Frenzy Band. This is the legendary I think I'm most excited for to include in PvE, just because that synergy that it has with our 2 and 4 set. I think it just kind of rolls off the tongue. It's perfect. The next combination that I'm actually looking forward to is Celestial Spirits and Draft of Deep Focus. Now, if you notice as a Feral Druid right now, if you look at your damage breakdowns, you have large spikes of damage, okay? So you're usually doing a little amount of damage and a large spike of damage and etc., right? And those spikes are every minute when you're convoking. So now, with Draft of Deep Focus, it'll actually kind of reduce that curve. So you'll have the large spike of damage on your opener, right? But it won't come down just as much, because now your Rake and your Rips will be doing more damage. It'll keep you more steady. So it just flattens the curve a little bit when it comes to our damage spikes, which makes us more of a consistent DPS. In my opinion, that's a lot of fun as well. So I think Frenzy Band's going to be the one that I'm really looking forward to, but I think Draft is also going to be very competitive in terms of rating, especially in single target, right? So in Mythic Plus, okay, I'm also anticipating Frenzy Band to be there in Mythic Plus. I think Frenzy Band synergy with the 2 set and the 4 set are just phenomenal. So if you're somebody that doesn't want to craft a bunch of legendaries, you want to craft 1 set of legendaries and be good in Mythic Plus and rating, and I mean even in this situation PvP if you really care about it, I think Celestial Spirits plus Frenzy Band will be a very good combination for you. So these are the 2 legendaries I would consider if you are mostly into PvE. Next, I think the Apex Predator's Craving is the one that most Feral Druids are keen to right now on the PTR because of its synergy with Primal Wrath. Primal Wrath applies rips to the targets around you, Apex Predator procs Ferocious Bites off of those rips, and as a Feral Druid, you are mostly a single target class anyways. Those Ferocious Bites you can funnel into primary targets, and boom, you're doing your job, right? There's no necessary... There's not necessarily a synergy between Apex Predator and the new 2 set and the 4 set like there would be with Frenzy Band, but this is a very lethal combo as well. So something you should definitely play around with if you are focusing primarily on dungeons. One of the other up-and-coming combinations that I have seen in the PTR is Circle of Life and Death plus Unbridled Swarm. And yes, Unbridled Swarm, that's Necrolord, right? So if you don't want to play Nightface so much in dungeons anymore, you want to start doing Necrolord things, you want to, you know, kind of dip your paws or your claws into the pool, right? Feel free. It's way more dot focused. I think it's going to be up there probably with Apex Predator plus Celestial Spirits combination in Mythic Plus. It is what it is. I think Unbridled Swarm for my taste is a little bit too RNG. However, a lot of people are enjoying it plus Circle of Life and Death. I think it's going to be a pretty good combination. I think that you'll have fun with it in dungeons as well. So, probably worth playing with if I were you. So my final thoughts on Feral right now is I was very excited going in 9.2 for the new 2 set and the 4 set. However, I think that the 4 set's been really over nerfed. I think they either need to rework the effect, however, patch comes out in a week, I don't think they're going to do that, or they need to kind of tune the damage back up. I don't fully understand their motivation into nerfing it, so I don't think that's going to happen really either. I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out. It's a real bummer that we got nerfed that hard, considering Feral's not even a meta spec really, and we don't bring any unique utility, so the only thing we truly bring to dungeons and to raids are our damage. So when our damage gets nerfed, it kind of feels a little bit, I don't want to use the word, but cringe, I guess. So Another thing, and this is also a downside of 9.2, is I think that with the new combinations that are coming out, I think Feral is going to be primarily revolving around Night Fae again. And I feel like all of the other covenants don't really feel that great for Feral because, I mean, other than Necrolord and Mythic Plus, it just doesn't, you know, and it's not like it's better than Night Fae. So there's really no motivation to go to any of the other covenants if you're just singly a PvP or PvE player. You're primarily just going to play Night Fae. So, you know, I think it's kind of a bummer. They did nerf the Kyrian Legendary, so if you're wondering why I did not mention the Kyrian Legendary, they did nerf it. But, you know. So, going into 9.2, I think that Feral is going to be a really strong single target DPS class, once again. And I think that it's going to compete for the damage meters. We aren't gaining any utility though, so our utility is still out the window. We're primarily just going to be single targeting, right? So I think it will still be good. The 2 set and the 4 set kind of bring more damage to the table for the single target and AoE and such. Berserk's going to be a really fun cooldown to use, so that's something that I'm really looking forward to in all aspects of content. I think Berserk's going to be way more fun to use, so I think that they definitely achieved their job. The developers achieved their goal with making Berserk a really fun cooldown this expansion, so definitely looking forward to that. And then I think that Feral overall is going to be a little bit more competitive in Mythic Plus and Raids in terms of damage windows, but I don't think they were going to be a meta class. So I'm just going to leave that on the table for what it is. If we end up doing really well and things actually end up shaping out and maybe we haven't discovered something in PTR, maybe there's more to it, maybe we discover a different covenant that's really good, maybe we come back, I don't know. But right now I think we're probably sitting middle of the bucket. And yeah. Anyways, so those are my thoughts on 9.2. I think it's going to be a fun patch for Ferals. I think it's going to be a fun patch for most classes. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I will be releasing some new 9.2 guides that will hopefully help you guys out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you later.